Hey guys. Okay, so earlier this week I was having a chat to someone about the notion or idea of lodging a mock character DA. So whilst you don't have the pressure of client timeframes to manage or deal with, really pushing the limits, testing the boundaries and seeing just how far you can take things to kind of set a new precedent for future jobs going forward. Now, I totally get where this person was coming from and it seems like a brilliant idea, but unfortunately town planning isn't that straightforward. Unfortunately, each and every single site across the city is totally unique, and therefore the way that council applies the character rules to each and every site across the city is totally different. Now, I want to use this week's video to kind of explain why that is. First and foremost, we need to look at the subject house. So when was it built? More specifically, was it built prior to 1911 or post 1911? How unique is that house? So is it one of those really rare houses, those ones that were custom built that you don't see every day? Or is it more of a mass-produced cookie cutter type of house that we've seen a million times over? Next thing is how butchered is the house? And more specifically, how irreversible is that butchering? That makes sense, doesn't it? So yeah, are we talking just veranda enclosures that can be easily reinstated? Or are we talking massive changes to roof forms or key sort of components of the house that you can't reverse? Next, what's happening in the street? So is it a real mixed bag of character? Have we got a real checkerboard pattern of TBC mapping happening in this street? Is there a real mixture of pre-47 and post-47 houses? And when it comes to those pre-47 houses, are they really butchered, and again, irreversibly butchered to a point where it doesn't really add any character value? Or are we talking a real beautiful, pristine character streetscape where all the houses are really untouched, really unique and all of that sort of stuff? Next, are there any local sort of issues? So for example, Bulimba and Morningside, out in that area, the standard carport exemption doesn't apply, and the exemption that typically allows you to enclose under the core of the house also does not apply. Or if you go out to areas like Sherwood, Graceville, all that sort of stuff, the rules and requirements are written in a way to control driveway materials. So there's a certain permeability requirement, all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, is there any local issues which are going to change the way that council approaches the standard rules? Last but not least, timeline. Like, are we talking an approval that was issued 10 years ago? I often say to people, 10, 15 years ago, back when I first started my career in the private town planning world, it was longer than that. 15 plus years ago, just had a moment there where I was like, oh crap, I am that old. Anyway, 15 plus years ago when I started my career in the private world, I always used to lodge applications. We did this all the time for demolition, and the simple justification we gave was there's not 3 character houses in a row, so there's not 3 pre-47 houses in a row. These days, council is focused on preserving individual character houses, and the 1946 aerial photo that we used to use, make sure I get my words out, 1946 aerial photo that we relied on, that's a better way of saying it, that we relied on to determine whether it was pre or post 47, nowadays doesn't cut it, because that aerial photo was taken in like May, basically the first half of the year, and the cutoff is December 31st, so there's a bit of a gap there. You get what I'm trying to say here. So yeah, basically it comes down to what sort of house is it, what type of house, or what state is that house in, what's the streetscape around it look like, and then also are there any local issues, and when was the approval done? So feels like every month at the moment, probably not that drastic, every few months, councillors cracking down on their enforcement of these character rules and the way that they're interpreting these character rules. And before you go and bitch and moan about council being the bad guy, all of that sort of stuff, they're acting in response to public feedback. They're just doing what they're being told to do. So keep that in mind. But yet council is constantly cracking down in this space. So things that we had approved 6 months ago, we won't be able to get approved now. Times are constantly changing in this space. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an understanding as to why the whole mock character DA concept just will not work. It's not worth the paper it's written on at the end of the day, because each job is totally different. Okay, that covers off everything I wanted to say today. As I always say, until next time, thanks for watching.
For all you red tape lovers out there, I have one thing to say. Well, no, actually, I've got 3. Number 1, the advice provided in these videos is general in nature. It's not site-specific. You would be a silly Billy to go and make financial decisions based on this advice without first checking with the town planner. Don't be a silly Billy. Number 2, Brisbane town planning is in no way linked to Brisbane City Council. The views expressed in these videos are my own, not council's. So if you don't like them, blame me, not council. Number 3, what was my number 3? Oh yeah, the views expressed in these videos are accurate at the time of recording. If you're watching this video back 10 years from now, the views may not be so accurate. That's all.